Hey everybody, Cassandra Von Worsley here with another IGTV episode. I want to talk about how do you silence your inner critic. Okay, we've all got inner critic. We've all got an inner critic who sits on our shoulder and chirps in our ear and tells us all the reason why we can't do what we say we want to do, whether it's build a business or build a lasting relationship or lose weight. We all have an inner critic that loves to criticize and judge and blame and make us feel small. That's why I teach the Inner Badass Intensive, because the reality of the situation is that we've got to master our mindset enough to where we put the inner critic in its rightful place, right? Not in the driver's seat. We activate our inner badass, and then we can finally get to our big dreams like building a business. Now, I teach a mastermind program called the Inner Badass Intensive, where you literally in 8 weeks will learn how to fire your inner critic, find your inner badass, and finally build your business. You can find out more about that at cassandravon.com/apply. But I want to talk to you today about how do you silence that inner critic? How do you silence it when it is just chirping so loud in your ear and you are trying to be brave and courageous and pursue the things you want to pursue? How do you shut that sucker up? Right? How do you shut it up? I'm going to give you 3 things you can do, and I call this RPM. And RPM stands for respond, prepare, and move. Respond, prepare, and move. So often when our inner critic is chirping, we just let that sucker roll, like go on a rampage of criticism with us. We do not respond effectively to the inner critic. So there are a couple of things in the response part of RPM. You want to respond to the inner critic, number 1, by acknowledging its presence and its role. So your inner critic is not something you're going to eradicate ever. It's not something that you're going to demolish and kill, destroy, not that. The inner critic is a part of you. It is a piece of you. What we want to do is we want to eventually transform it into a powerful mentor. But for right now, to silence it, we're going to respond to the inner critic by acknowledging that it's there. So not pretending that it's not there. We acknowledge, okay, I hear what you're saying. You acknowledge that it's there. You respond to it. We are also going to respond by giving it an instruction as to what its role truly is. So often we let the inner critic roll with criticism for a long time before we finally say, enough already. Here's the thing, the inner critic, just like fear, just like self-doubt, it's going to be in the car with you, but it cannot be in the driver's seat. So when you respond to the inner critic, here's how you silence it. You go, okay, I hear what you're saying. And I know you're trying to protect me, and I do not need protection. And so what we're going to do is we're going to shut down this conversation, and you're going to go in the back seat of this car while I drive it, and you're going to SDASU, which means sit down and shut up. Conversation closed, and you close yourself mentally to that continued conversation. You put on some good music, you start dancing around, you call a friend who can encourage you, whatever you got to do to shut that conversation down. You respond by acknowledging the inner critic, you put it in its rightful place, and then you tell it to SDASU, sit down and shut up. That's the R in the RPM. P is prepare. So you have to know that your inner critic is going to show up at any given time. And so you prepare by building yourself up on a daily basis. You need a daily ritual of preparation where you get mentally prepared for whenever the inner critic shows up. Affirmations, I am statements, exercise. I mean, for me, weightlifting lifts my level of self-belief. So you want to be in a constant state of preparation so that when the inner critic strikes, you know how to bolster yourself. You know how to reframe. So that's the P, prepare. Now the M is really important, move. So often the inner critic gets us into a space where we get stuck. We get mentally stuck, then we get physically stuck. The best thing you could do when the inner critic is raging and you feel small and you feel like you don't have confidence and there's a lot of self-doubt, take an action. Make a move. Take an action. Do it afraid. So again, the way that we silence our inner critic is RPM. We respond, we prepare, and we move. If you want to deep dive into this work, join me for the Inner Badass Intensive. Find out how you can do that at cassandravon.com/apply and apply. I'll see you guys later.